So first things first, how are you?
We are great.
Good.
Coming at you from Toronto, Canada.
How are you?
I'm perfect, thank you. What is it like being home for those stretches and then kind of looking forward towards the summer and fall in terms of going back on the road? Is there a big
Uh,
difference between the two kind of personalities you
yeah,
have?
there's definitely a big difference. We like to space it out because when when we're at home for a long period of time, we kind of get itchy for the road. And then after being on the road for a long time, you kind of want to get back home to your bed. So we try to find that fine balance, but we're getting really excited for October to come back out to Europe because it's Europe in the fall is one of our favorite places. We went out there last year in the fall. We love it. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. The shows are always amazing and the fans are incredible.
Yeah, we're lucky to have you, so that's awesome to hear. So this period now, those past couple of months, what have you been up to? Is it mostly writing? Is it mostly preparing, playing live? What goes through the minds of the band in a sense?
Well, we're not your typical band when it comes to the things that we do. We create a lot of content, so we're constantly doing something, whether it's shooting videos, recording songs, writing songs, putting out albums, working on even like outside projects as well. So we have a lot on our plate. We just kind of prioritize what we need to at the time. We got this big tour coming up, so right now we're working on our live show. And at the same time, we are putting a new single out, a new original single out like once every 2 months. So we're always recording even when we're on the road. We just kind of do it all. We just take everything with us everywhere we go so we can continue to dip our beaks in all the ponds.
Yeah, that's very interesting because how do you decide then what takes priority at any moment?
We're
We're kind of
we're
forced into it,
Yeah, we're a
really.
little bit disorganized in that sense, but because we're always working, it's just kind of day by day. We wake up and we're like, what needs to get done today? What's the most important? Who's yelling at us because they need something? And we just say, okay, today this needs to get done. That's what we're doing. We finish it. And then the next day is a new hurdle, a new project to kind of finish and conquer. So
Which is actually really cool. It means that every single day we're working on something a little different, which we really
Mhm.
love that part about our jobs a lot.
mhm.
Is it as effortless as it seems from the outside? Because whenever I see a video of you guys or anything, it seems so much fun, and then you hear I'm sure you hear this a lot, but it just seems so much fun and organic and is it as effortless as it seems? It's probably not, but
Definitely not effortless.
Yeah.
Um, but we have a lot of good times, that's for sure. But we also take it very seriously what we do.
sure.
We never want to stop doing this.
Mhm.
So we definitely know that as entrepreneurs working for ourselves, we need to hustle. And some days are longer than others. But we're in a really good place with everybody on our team, and we can flow very easily, even if there's like conflict or someone's tired or whatever. um yeah, it's not effortless, but we do love that people watch our content and feel light and feel like it's effortless to watch.
Yeah,
Mm.
there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes in some of the videos and our videos come off very off the cuff, and they come off like, the kids next door just put up a camera and shot something, but there's a lot of practice and configuring and all these things that go in behind these videos that take, a couple weeks sometimes. So it's not effortless.
And what we call Easter eggs, which means if you
Mm.
watch most of our videos, there's 95% of the time there's something, in the background, like it might be a little picture or it might be something like there's tons of little Easter eggs in our videos that all of our super dedicated fans will be like, oh, look, it's the beard guy mug or it's the this or that. Like they really enjoy those little parts of our videos too.
That's really cool to hear. And if we get into the creative process, then how does well, let's start with the original song. So how does a song typically start? Because I assume it's different for most, but is there a kind of a way that you work?
Yeah, it's very eclectic in the style of writing because it's different all the time. Sometimes we'll just work on a beat or like a musical arrangement. And so we have like a catalog of those, like, anywhere from 5 to 10 beats that, that we produce that are just
Mm.
sitting there. And then sometimes we'll have in our notes, we'll come up with concepts. Be like, oh, we want to write a song about having a stupid heart, or not, about, being in a bad relationship or whatever. We'll have these kind of like key words that we write down. And then we'll kind of dedicate some days to writing out of all the things that we're doing. We'll be like, okay, Wednesday, we're going to try to write some songs. So when we show up Wednesday, we'll go into our notes and we'll look at some of these ideas we've written down. We'll listen to some of our beats, try to meld those two together, find the right beat for the right lyrics that we've written or jotted down. So that's kind of how our process works when it comes to songwriting.
With a song like On the Road, then, how does a song like that start? Is it maybe a line? Is that maybe a sentiment that you're thinking about? Is it how does yeah?
Yeah, I mean, again, that one kind of came from how I just explained it.
Okay.
We were working on a chord progression on a guitar, and it had that kind of somber, sad feeling to it. And we know we wanted to, touch on some songs about a little bit about depression. So we had some lyrics that kind of fit that vibe, and then it just went from there. And we just sat in a circle and kind of, we had some good collaborators on that as well. And we brought them into the picture, and yeah, it just came out really well.
And the response to a song like that, what does that do to you? Because obviously, when you start out making music, you just do it for fun, and then at some point you realize it can resonate with people, and people can find something in what you do. And then with specifically with these type of songs that deal with something important to people, something yeah, that people struggle with. What is it like then hearing that response from people and kind of them finding something in those songs?
It's funny you say that, because as much as we did begin doing music because it was fun for us, when you were teenagers and you pick up a guitar, you really want to write a song. Like, music has been a part of our lives since the day we were born. And so we inherit this connection with music, I think, as human beings from the get-go. And I think naturally as artists, if you do enter the realm of songwriting, you're telling stories, right? You're experiencing things throughout your life, and that other people are experiencing them too. So that's what connects us with music, right? So we're kind of at that point in our careers where we just have so many stories to tell, and we have so many connections with so many different things that people can relate to. And so we just put them into songs. And that song in particular, we've all had different experiences with mental health, and we've all felt like that. And I think when songs resonate with people the most, it's obviously because they're like, oh, I've been there. I've felt that before. This makes sense to me. This is actually very healing, or this is something I need to blast in my car to help me get over this thing. So we really think about the human connection that we've all had since we were just babies listening to music.
Sure. And when on the flip side, very quickly, who do you put on when you in the car when you need to scream something out, or is it do you? Because I
People
assume
always
you don't.
ask us this question.
Yeah.
People always ask us this question, and it's tough because we make so much music that, one, we are constantly always listening to our own music, only because we're like listening to how the mix is or what the vocals
Sure.
sound like, or we're in the studio recording.
We're also just very, we listen to so much different music, and we try not to have favorite bands. So we're always trying to get ideas from different playlists and stuff. So we kind of just put on random music, or we'll get our friends to, well, if we're with our friends, we're like, you pick the music, and kind of just, and then take inspiration from that. And there is so many good songs, but it's hard to kind of define right now for me, because I literally, I wouldn't just go in my car right now and be like, I want to listen to this song. I would just turn it on and be like, hopefully it hits something that hits home.
Something good comes on.
But,
we've actually always been genreless as a band.
Yeah.
And when we first blew up on YouTube and people started to really discover our music, they would be like, well, what kind of music do you do? Or even, if we were talking to labels at the time, well, what genre are you going to fit into? And we always fought against that. And it was a difficult battle, especially working with people who are so set in their ways. Like, you have to be like this. and you have to continue. So, but we're independent and it's so much fun. Like we can put albums out with, there's like opera singing in the back, and then there's like heavy metal guitars, and we love all genres. So I think it's just that shows in our music. But as far as music goes, we listen to a lot of our own music.
Yeah, I have been listening to this artist named Powfu. He has a song with an artist that we work with named Gabriella B, a song called Blue that I'm really obsessed with right now. Powfu and Gabriella B, the song's called Blue. It's kind of got like a really sad vibe with some kind of like spoken lyrics, and it's just a great, beautiful song, sparkly.
I have a blue shirt on.
I'll have to check that one out then. But is that kind of what you just described? Is that then the secret of trying being genreless, to not just go down one route? Because I'm sure, as you mentioned, the industry has at some point tried to categorize you one way or the other. So
yeah,
keeping things as open as you have, both in instrumentation and in kind of just the sound of it, what's the secret behind that, you think?
Yeah, I think kind of what I was mentioning before. I know when I was younger, I would listen to like I would love one band and I would listen to them until like the record was broken. And then I started making music and I sounded like that band. So I think the fact that we don't have favorite bands and that we don't constantly listen to the same genre or constantly listen to the same music, when we get into the writing room, we're not mega influenced by anything. We're kind of influenced by everything spread out. And that kind of shows in our sound. So you can't really say like, oh, Walk Up There sounds like this band.
Yeah.
They're not, like, you know what I mean? Because we don't have like a lot of our songs kind of touch a huge spectrum.
Yeah.
So,
And we stayed true to that. And I think, I mean, authenticity is such a big thing for people now, right? Especially because it's so hard to find while you're drowning in social media platforms, you know? And I think just because we genuinely never changed who we are, and of course we're always changing the content that we make and trying to get better at what we do, and you know, we like to shock people sometimes with a few, like, with things, but we always stayed true to ourselves. And I think somebody in a record label 10 years ago could have said, well, if you aren't going to be an alternative rock band, then you're going to fail. And we kind of were just like, well, we're going to just kind of do whatever we want. And then eventually it worked. And now that's who we are. Like, that's how people know us. And so I think people shouldn't feel like they need to be pigeonholed into one specific thing. You just got to work really hard at it to establish it.
For some people that works, and that's great.
Totally.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's wrong to have one genre. Like, it's really cool. Sometimes you want to listen to a band and have like a very straight line, and that's awesome too. But it just, didn't work out for us.
I think, like you say, as long as what you're doing is sincere, then people will be able to find something. It will start to resonate. And Sarah, you mentioned the word inherit just earlier, about kind of the way you grew up with music, and now you're doing a similar thing with your own kids, who are becoming older, and I suppose understanding better what you guys are doing and being incorporated into it more. How has that journey been, trying to take your kids along on the ride?
It's cool. And it's a bit, it's strange for even to watch it if I picture myself or Gianni as an outsider, because we're like, oh, our kids are like in our band now. But it makes total sense for us because Gianni and I have always had this idea that this band will have revolving people in and out. And, you know, when we saw our kids growing up, watching our videos, coming on stage, they were on tour with us at all times. They got into music, started playing the drums, piano, and then Romeo with like the singing and the performing. Again, just like what we do, it came so naturally. And that is why it resonates with people so much, because they see the genuinity in it, and they absolutely love it. Like, they just went to China, you know, and got to play in front of thousands of people. And we're all about giving our kids an experience in life. We want them to live their lives to the fullest. They might not do this forever. They might decide they want to do something else, and that's super cool too. But for now, the way that we all are and how it's all set up, it's just like, it's this really cool, fun family adventure. And people are paying attention. So why not?
What is it like then as parents, and then just objectively listening to beautiful things, when Romeo comes in with that singing. I mean, that must be interesting as a parent to hear that and kind of realize that I don't know how to phrase this very well, but to realize kind of what you're building.
Yeah, his passion, there's no doubt that his passion is very present in what he does. And it's almost weird because you're watching this child feel this song almost like an adult would. But to be totally honest, like all of them, since they were little, would be watching our videos, like strumming a ukulele while they watched, hitting it, trying to mimic what they're seeing on the screen. And music is such a big part of our lives. It's such a big part of how we express ourselves that I think they're just kind of inheriting that, right? And
Yeah.
and seeing that. And the greatest part for us is we get to enjoy them singing really great songs as opposed to like listening to Baby Shark all day long and wanting to rip our heads off. Like I would much rather listen to Beautiful Things or, Thunder. If I have to listen to any form of music that involves kids, then I'm down with that. Like, yes, give me a version of a song that I love and make it like badass.
Yeah, we're obviously mega proud of them, and I think they see the passion that Sarah and I have, and obviously your kids kind of they won't do what you tell them to do, but they'll do what you do. So like they see how passionate Sarah and I are about music and about the projects that we take on. So I think they're kind of just inheriting that, and that's awesome because we love it.
Yeah.
Mm. And continuing on Beautiful Things, it's a song by Benson Boone, and you kind of just alluded to it, but what is kind of the selection criteria when going into a cover song? And what do you take away from doing covers? Do you learn a lot about music by looking at how, by dissecting how other people kind of create songs?
Yeah, for sure. I think we just have to love a song, obviously, if we're going to cover it. There's kind of two things in the criteria, like loving the song, like passionately. It can't just be a hit song because there's a lot of hit songs that happen, and I'm like, we're not really into that
Sure.
song. But the second, I think the most important thing is for us is like we're not like a bar cover band. Like we don't want to cover a song exactly how it sounds. We want to know that we can change it in a different way, not necessarily make it better, but like we want to make it better for the way we would like to hear it. So if sometimes we'll hear a song and we're like, well, they've already kind of done it how we would have done it, and they're using acoustic instruments and whatnot. So it's not really for us to touch. But then there's songs that we're like, oh, we can change, we can do a key change, or we can add Romeo's vocals extra high here, or like whatever, something that makes it different for the people. So they have a different version of that song that's clearly inherently different. So that's kind of the two main things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome the way you reinterpret it. And I saw the comment underneath "Eye of the Tiger," and I forgot his name, but he was the one of the writers of that song, and he gave you such a
Yeah.
great
Oh, yeah.
compliment. So that must be awesome to hear from the people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've heard from quite a few people whose songs we've covered. I know when Taylor Swift, not the Eras tour, but a tour that she did a little while back, was playing a compilation of YouTube videos before she came out on stage, and ours was in there. And we've talked to tons of different artists just to see, especially when they're putting a new song out or doing a new campaign, because there's so much competition out there now. It's like if somebody is going to help blow up your song, who are the people that you'd like to contact to help make that happen?
Yeah,
right?
you'd be surprised how many times we get hit up by record labels or artists that have a new single coming and they say like, hell can walk off the earth, do a version or whatever. And so it's pretty flattering. But yeah, again, it's something that we really love doing. And we have the ability to not do covers because sometimes people are like,
Sure.
oh, it's like covers or they are what they are. Like, but for us, like our biggest songs are all of our originals, but we still won't ever stop kind of putting covers out there into the world as well.
And people have been covering songs for years. It's years and years. So many songs that we grew up with thinking like that this band or this person wrote and recorded this song now are just discovering like, oh, this is actually a song from like 1956. And
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with a lot of soul, like people like Ray Charles. I mean, a lot of his famous hits were written by other people, and I mean that doesn't diminish it to as long as you again make it sincere, I think. But
Totally.
continuing in on the original songs then, because another song was "Better at Love." Well, I have one question about "Better at Love." Writing so many songs about kind of relationships and all kinds of human interaction, does it help kind of understanding the concept of love?
Yeah, really, actually really
Yeah,
does. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, because
Totally.
sometimes you force yourself to think about situations that you might not think about. And in real life, you can have you can be wrong and you can have ideas that are not wrong. But if you put that on paper and start writing a song and then you look at it and you're like, oh shit, I actually am not right in this situation. So it's like kind of puts it out into the world and kind of teaches you like you know, how to be a better lover, better at love and
It's our
stuff.
therapy.
Yeah, it's therapy. Yeah.
No, but that's awesome to hear that you can learn from kind of the songs that you write as well and realize things about yourself. And I'm sure sometimes it happens years later or whatever that you realize what you were singing about. But
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a really good question, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
and is this then is this a precursor to kind of a new album cycle then? Because the previous album was
Yeah,
released in August of last year, if I'm not mistaken.
correct. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is going to be our next album. We're I think three or four singles in right now,
Mhm.
and you know most of our albums have 10 songs, so we'll probably have like three more singles, and then we'll drop the full album. That's kind of how we've been doing it, and kind of how the industry does it nowadays, right? They release
Sure.
6 or 7 singles and then drop an album. So yeah, we have most of it written. We have some really exciting songs coming down the pipe. Some that we're really excited about. They're all kind of in production land right now. I think we're gonna write maybe one or two more, and it's really exciting to have the next album already, 20% released. And
We really love that the industry has kind of converted to this putting singles out as opposed to
Mm,
waiting 18 months to put out 10 to 12 songs,
Mhm.
because that's always how we've worked. And when we did we've worked with major labels and different managers in the past and stuff. And, they were like, no, we got to wait until all 12 songs are done and it's gonna take 18 months and this. And we would always be like, but we want to put music out like when it's done. Like the song's done, we want to put it out. So we're super happy with the way that the industry has gone as far as the releasing of music goes. It works for us really,
Yeah,
really
and
well.
and it still works in an album format as well. Like we're
mm.
writing these songs kind of in cohesiveness to each other. So I know some people like to listen to a whole album, and that's definitely what you can do with what we've been doing. It's just we like to give it to you when it's ready
Yeah.
and give it to you in pieces. So that's how we roll.
Right. And then with that in mind, is there anything you can reveal about, and it doesn't have to be necessarily for the upcoming album, but can be in general, kind of areas that you would still like to explore, either in terms of instruments, certain uh, yeah, traditional instruments from certain parts of the world. Is there anything that you have your eye on at the moment?
Always.
Yeah, there's a crazy instrument called, I think it's called a water flute. Very expensive, so I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to get my hands on one, but it kind of like the water comes through this glass pipe and you kind of hold
Okay,
it down and it makes these beautiful angelic noises. But
Yeah.
trying to get our hands on that. I mean, we've been messing around into the cartoon world for a while, and we've been producing this cartoon with music for the last 6 years now, and it's coming very close to fruition. It's really fun. It's called Walk Off the Earth in Space or Woat in Space.
okay,
And it's for kids, but it's also for adults. The jokes are pretty, there's like not mature, but they work. It's kind of like the Muppet Show where you can watch
sure.
it.
Or Scooby
Or
Doo,
Scooby-Doo. You can
you
watch
can
it as an
enjoy
adult.
it.
And the songs are really great. We've written 14 songs for it. There's 14 episodes in the first season. There's like 8 episodes finished right now. So we're trying to get that finished and find a platform to release it. But yeah, we're trying to move into that world as well. But like Sarah said earlier, we like to dip our beaks in many ponds. So we're
People are constantly sending us videos of other people doing really crazy impressive stuff on all kinds of weird instruments. And every single time I see one or someone sends it to me, I'll send it to Johnny and vice versa and be like, we need to get our hands on one of these and shoot a video with it. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it just hasn't yet. But there's so many crazy instruments out there. Like you could fill a giant warehouse full of the stuff that we still haven't used yet. So we're just on a giant mission try them all.
Well, that's very good to hear that you're not nearly done yet with all the possibilities that there are
No,
out there.
we'll be tossing ukuleles around until we're like 87 years old.
We have a really great video coming out in the next 2 weeks that's on a very unique instrument that I think a lot of people are gonna like. We're very excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last quick question, because is traveling then? I mean, it can be a double-edged sword, right? On the one hand, it's oh, that's not the right. I don't know. But on the one hand, it can be very exhausting and stuff. But on the other hand, you get to see these beautiful places in the world. So what is your view on all the traveling that you do? And I mean, you do take your family with you, so that makes it probably easier.
Yeah, I mean,
And harder.
and harder.
Yeah, exactly.
The traveling is definitely the worst part, but being in the places is the best part. And then the absolute best part is like playing the show for that 1 hour. It kind of wipes away all the stress and strife that you've gone through without any sleep, in the previous day. So that's what kind of gets us through it. Like every night you're on stage and you see thousands of people singing the songs that you wrote in your bedroom. That kind of makes it all worth it. But yes, it's a big struggle. You don't get a lot of sleep. It definitely ages you a little bit, like driving in buses and all the things that go along with it. And like there's always something wrong on tour. There's like something breaks, or like the bus breaks down, or you missed a flight. There's just one thing after the next. And shout outs to all the tour managers out there, because that's probably one of the craziest jobs you could ever do. And you're just dealing with so many people and so many problems all at once just to keep the ship running.
Yeah.
But
you become very resourceful though. And
yeah,
it's not like you're tossed into it out of nowhere and all of a sudden you're like living on buses and traveling on airplanes. Like we've been doing this for so many years that we all have this sense, this knowledge on how to do it and how to troubleshoot in the best way, and how to conquer certain things that we need to conquer while we're on the road, or whatever the case may be. And so I think the trial and error that it takes to get to that point is what's really important. And the fact that we all now have these resources, it does make it easier.
There is some fun, things you learn over the years, like Sarah was saying. And for us, we consider ourselves such professional travelers that we will show up to the airport 20 minutes before a flight. And like we've never missed a flight. And we are so like people, most people will go 2-3 hours, 4 hours ahead. Like we're there like 45 minutes before the flight, and we just get through it every time, or walk right onto
I
the
like
flight.
to walk through and walk right onto the airplane.
Yeah.
And it stresses out our whole team so much. They're like, you're showing up at what time?
Yeah.
But it's cool for the kids too. They're so well traveled now. Our 10-year-old can navigate his way through an airport, and it's a lot of cool life lessons. It's a real blessing that we get to do this as a family, and we don't take advantage of that. So we utilize every moment that we can. In fact, now that the kids are so involved, Johnny and I are more motivated to even do more touring and do more things, because now we're really like, well, we get to bring them and show them and do all these things with them. Like they've always come with us, but it's a different dynamic now. And we're like, we got to kick like a restart on this like passion. And now we see it in them, and it's just really cool.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Gianni, Sarah, may I thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Thanks a lot, Robin. Really
Thanks
great.
for having us.
Really great questions. Thank you very much.